I mean, that's a good cue too. Maybe we should get into these announcements so we can really go into 1971 here soon. Let's begin. We got our first announcement this week was from MVD Rewind. December 12th, we are getting Mondo, New York from 1988. This is going to have a new 2K transfer in there and then a whole bunch of archival interviews. We got an interview with Joe Coleman, interview with Joey Arias, interview with Shauna Lameister. I don't know how to say that last name. Interview with the producer, Stuart Shapiro. But then the big thing, a soundtrack CD, which is pretty dang rare for MVD Rewind, and an 18-page booklet. I've never seen Mondo, New York. Have you seen this one? I'm sure you have.
I saw when it came out. Everything. Yeah. Saw it in New York City. Yeah.
How is this one?
It's fun. I mean, it's definitely a time capsule. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. But there's some pretty funny things. It's one of those movies that I kind of wouldn't want to know too much before going in. I mean, but I just think it's a fun film, really fun movie. But it was part of the zeitgeist back in that era. And you go to New York City, and of course you're going to go see Mondo, New York, and it's all these personalities that were sort of definitely kind of hovering around the fringe back then, and it was definitely a video store staple too when it made the move to video. That was when like Troma was really going big too. It was like at that time where you had like Toxic Avenger and things like Surf Nazis Must Die in theaters. So that's in the city, that's Saturday night, that's the sort of vibe. But it's a fun movie. It's a worthy release. What they did was, it seems like it's a lot of care put in.
Yeah, especially like a booklet and a CD is pretty rare from MVD Rewind.
Well, it definitely, it's a movie that it's a historic film now. So so just watch it and think that's I mean, it's really it definitely reflects a certain era that only happens once, so it's this if anything, this provides context. I love when there's context. It sets people up. I almost would want to watch the extras first for something like this, just to really paint the picture. But
right,
but I just don't remember the film enough to go, don't do that.
Well, and the crazy thing, the extras, if you look at this, the first two interviews are both 50 minutes each, 50. That's a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
What year? I'm just saying, what year was that? I'm just curious.
88.
It was 88. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, because I was working on Basket Case 2 in 89, so I was really in New York City a lot. So that definitely was that. That was the area. That was the era. That was the time zone of the maximum that I was in. But that's pretty cool. Yeah. It's a good time.
Next one up tonight is Computer Chess from 2013. This is coming on November 14th from Kino Lorber, and I have heard nothing but amazing things about this. I've not been able to see this yet. This has an art. You've not been able to see it yet either?
Nope.
And this is a 10th anniversary special edition. I think this is the first HD release in the States of this one. So this is really neat. And then it's got some archival interviews with the director and some from the cast, Austin Film Society Q&A from 2019, a commentary by Deep Blue programmer Murray Campbell, and then another commentary by an enthusiastic stoner. I love that they said that. And then a crowdfunding plea video, Sundance Film Festival promo, computer chess reference games, 1969 Sony AVC 3260 video camera tutorial, and a trailer for an upcoming sequel written and directed by AI.
There you go.
All in on
the last word. That's excellent.
That's a solid sounding release, though.
It does, yeah.
Brand new film from 2023, October 10th from Lionsgate. We are getting King of Killers with Frank Grillo. This one is so odd. Lionsgate is doing this thing where they're releasing Blu-rays in DVD-sized cases now for a couple of their lower budget films, and this is one of them.
Interesting. I've never heard of this at all.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's go to the next one.
Might be fun. I never saw it.
I'm sure you've heard of this one. From VCI on December 8th, we are getting That Uncertain Feeling from 1941. This is an Ernst Lubitsch film. Have you seen
Hilarious.
this one?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, but I haven't seen it since I was a kid. That used to show occasionally on $1 Million Movie, and that was one of those things where they had it at probably 11 a.m. in the morning every day of the week, and then again at 8 p.m. every day of the week. So it was kind of to me, you look back, it's kind of experimental, isn't it, to have repeat showings every day. Like it was a movie theater for the rented out for the week. I remember thinking it was hilarious. But again, that is haven't seen that for a long time. Not a long time.
Interesting. And it's VCI. Not a lot of faith there, unfortunately. But they got a commentary track by Mick LaSalle, and who is a noted film historian. I just wish they'd get some better scans sometimes and put their stuff on press Blu-rays most of the time. Next one. The Emerald Forest is coming from Kino Lorber on November 28th. This says, from John Boorman, the director of Point Blank, Hell in the Pacific, Deliverance, and Excalibur, comes a wildly ambitious parable that transports us to a singularly imaginative realm. The Emerald Forest is an exotic and erotic nightmare, replete with one lushly enrapturing scene after another. For 10 years, engineer Bill Markham has searched tirelessly for his son, Tommy, who disappeared from the edge of the Brazilian rainforest. Miraculously, he finds the boy living among the reclusive Amazon tribe who adopted him. And that's when Bill's adventure truly begins, for his son is now a grown tribesman who moves skillfully through this beautiful but dangerous terrain, fearful only of those who would exploit it. And as Bill attempts to rescue him from the savagery of the untamed jungle, Tommy challenges Bill's idea of true civilization and his notions about who needs rescuing. Meg Foster is also in this, and then we got a new audio commentary by filmmaker Edgar Pablos and your pal and my friend Nathaniel Thompson.
Can't wait. Now, I read that, I'm listening to that description. I'm just like, it's the same movie that I saw. There's a lot of, I don't want to presuppose what they'll discuss, so that, I leave that to them. But, I would go into this movie, the erotic part, I don't know what they're talking about, but the other, but I do think people should watch it. Obviously, it's something you probably would see more than one time to get like the whole scope of it. But I always thought there was an unreliable narrator attached to this. Right. So they make it sound like it's a straightforward adventure film, which it does look like, but there are some things in that movie which are very kind of tricky. So I would advise also just going in with an extremely open mind and kind of be prepared to, like most Boorman films, really, if you want to get the most out of them, you really should give them attention, more than once. It wasn't a movie that I connected with right away when I first saw it. That was still back in the time where it was like, I'm just watching them. I can't, Boorman name, go, and you're still working off of some sort of expectations or whatever. And it was one of those that I just kind of prompted me to eject that whole notion. So this is I think this is a good one to sort of test your, what your expectations of a John Boorman film is, as opposed to what he actually, created in there. And it is kind of one of the last ones that he did that was, it involved some kind of, action spectacle. He started getting more introverted with his, the dramas that he was doing after this, probably because he was just, he's aging. So you don't want to move your ass all that much. And he this one is quite a physical film. So, and Powers Booth is great in this too, I think. Good is a good cast, and it's just beautifully shot.
Joe Jack is asking in the comments, is there a new transfer? This film has been out for Kino already. And as we can see, there is no new transfer. But the cool thing is they are doing a small upgrade on some of these films. This is one of, I think, 5 or 6 that they've announced already that is doing this, where the original release is not to disparage Kino's great name, because they have turned into a wonderful company. But for years, they were just putting all the discs that they possibly could out with hardly any special features. And they're this wonderful company now that's giving love to these in so many different ways. But back then, they would put them on like the smallest size Blu-ray disc they could for the cheapest amount of money. They would be a little more compressed. So this one will have a new encode on a larger disc, so the film can breathe a little more and it will be clearer, even though it's not a new transfer. And on top of that, they recorded a new commentary for it. They didn't have to do that, and it's pretty neat that they're doing that. They're not losing the rights, so they were able to do something to give it like a little bit of a second life on home video again.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong with these two. I'm anxious to hear, the commentary, because to me, it's why I like working with Nathaniel a lot of time, because it's just you are going to hear something you just never considered before. So I'm excited about this. This is definitely this is on my list to try and sneak a watch in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Next one. Speaking of 1971, December 11th in the UK, they are getting the special 4K steelbook of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and everything looks the same as the other release that came out previously. There's a commentary with the Wonka kids on the disc, but this thing, because it's got the original art, looks incredible. That's the inside art on the steelbook. I don't know if you have any steelbooks or care about them at all, but man, this is pretty.
Yeah, I don't. No, I'm just strictly. I just want the movie.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll change that eventually when it's way too late and I can't get anything. But
Yep. Craig from Deaf Crocodile says somehow their output hasn't slowed down. Talking about Kino, but now it's new scans restored and with bonus features. How is that possible? Feels like some Powerball winner is financing them now. That's hilarious. All right, going to the next one. October 24th, wow. Flicker Alley is releasing French Revelations, which will include Fanfare of Love and Bad Seed from 1934 and 1935. This is going to have a commentary for Fanfare of Love by author and filmmaker August Ventura, commentary for Bad Seed by historian, scholar, and UCLA professor Jan Christopher Horak, and then a printed essay, an 8-panel insert featuring an essay by film historian Richard Newport, and this will be a region-free disc for anybody that wants it. Flicker Alley, they have done some really great stuff for some classic films. Have you watched many things from them?
Yeah, I mean, more than a few. But this one I didn't even know was being released. That I don't have either one of these, so this sounds interesting to me. I've never seen either one of these. Yeah,
coming just next month, October 24th. You can pre-order that on their site now.
That's really cool. I love it.
In December, Kino Lorber is releasing Jess Franco's Sinner as part of their new Kino Cult line.
Wow, who knew that would ever? That just boggles my mind. It's awesome.
We don't have any further details yet, but what do you think about Sinner?
Oh, it's great. I was used to watching this one on it looked like a Carillion photograph, like a heat sensitive photograph of a 40th generation tape of a 40th generation tape of I mean, it had had auras around it. It's how right. Degraded the generations were on VHS. I used to, I love. I love this movie. It's a downbeat movie. I'm just curious if there's like 100,000 cuts of this thing. I'd love to know it's always worth getting a Franco film, no matter what the title is, because it's never going to be the same version you saw before. So, this is going to be a good one. I love anything Franco.
Seems like all home video buyers do too. We will be getting more and more, it looks like.
Great. Bring it on. Good stuff.
This one is interesting. December 5th, Cinedigm is releasing Monsters of California. This is a brand new 2023 film. Dallas Edwards and his friends are trying to discover answers to a series of mysterious paranormal events happening around Southern California. However, they unravel the extraordinary secrets held within the deepest levels of the government. Watch co-founder of Blink-182 and founder of Angels and Airwaves, Tom DeLonge, make his directorial debut with Monsters of California.
Never heard of it. So yeah, I'd give it a go, of course.
Joe Jack wants to know, what is your favorite Franco film?
Is that even answerable?
One of 206.
So many. All right, you know what? No, there is one I mean, I love them so much, but but I really love the erotic rites of Frankenstein, and I love all those like ones that sort of interconnect with it too. But erotic rites of Frankenstein, the hard version of that one, where you see a lot more nudity. It's really that's like a perfect representation of like a Spanish, late 60s, early 70s, like comic book, horror comic. It's just has just a great stink to it, good atmosphere, and I love the cast also, and it's a great movie, a really great movie. So that's my favorite, but that's like saying, then you have what others that are almost the favorite.
Right.
I mean,
that's your favorite today.
Yeah, right. A mood ring, Jess Franco mood ring. Yeah, but I know that I really love. I mean, that's one of the ones that got me totally into Franco and just relaxed me about everything else. But that's a great one. But there's a lot of. I mean, you're talking hundreds of films. Some are, he knew are garbage. He just did it quickly. But even those are fascinating because it's who's making the garbage. I mean, when I say that, I'm not saying I'm considering it garbage. I'm just saying like he did. He would just do it for money. He would just,
right.
At certain periods. But when there's times when he's making 4 or 5 films out of one budget, not telling anybody, not telling his backers he's doing it. You are amazed at what he comes out of him. It's he's one of those guys you should read every single thing written about him because it's fascinating, and his interviews are amazing too. I mean, he's a character, great, but as a filmmaker, in his own sphere, he wrote a lot of language, so smart guy.
Now I kind of want to design a shirt that has the mood ring of Jess Franco.
Go for it. There you go.
Next one, the 2022 film from Joanna Hogg, The Eternal Daughter, is coming soon in 2024 from BFI. We don't have any real details on it yet, but this is sort of notable because we don't have a US release of this yet. This is the lady that did The Souvenir, and her stuff has been pretty incredible for most people, and they've really related to a lot of the films that she's done. Have you gotten to see this one yet? I've not been able to.
Didn't even know it existed until now. This is great. I'm actually very excited about that. That's good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, Tilda Swinton's supposedly amazing in it.
Always.
So this one, Kino Lorber is releasing the Eiger Sanction from 1975 on 4K soon, as if anybody doubted one of their Eastwood films would not be coming to 4K. I'm
this
sure
one's probably.
I'm
hoping this looks stunning because it's beautifully photographed. It's outrageously sexist. It's just. It's to me. I was almost shocked whenever anyone opened their mouth in this film. I was just like, oh, whoa. It's not what I was used to, even from like Clint Eastwood. I mean, he really dove into the dark pond here. So, but I was a big fan of the books, the Lou Sanction and the Eiger Sanction. They were Avon bestsellers back in the mid 70s. And the author Trevanian, which I think was a pseudonym, he actually did a really, really great one, which I always wanted to do, with I wanted Richard Burton in it. I had my whole thing for it was The Maine, and it took place in Canada, and it was a really, really wonderful thriller. It was a great read. But this was sort of like his, character novels back in the 70s were really big, like series like The Executioner or The Destroyer. You'd have like hundreds of these books. And the Eiger Sanction, I mean, you got 2 out of it as far as I know, but they were good, beefy things, airport fiction, But the movie, it's pretty perverse, and there's a whole section with that features. Forgive me, I forget her name, but Henry Miller's lover has a whole very funny sort of surreal, almost Russ Meyer-esque. She's almost like Super Soul, from like the Russ Meyer movies. She'll appear and go. Yeah, there's a very, very an interesting sequence with her. It's a fun movie. Yeah, I mean, if you want to keep your relationships with your wife or I don't go around cheering this film on. It's really offensive. It's an unusually offensive film, but I like the shock value of that. I mean, again, I'm not going to hold it against it, and it certainly doesn't feel like any other Eastwood film. And I know he wanted to go big time with the authenticity, and I do believe a climber stuntman did perish on this film. So I'm horrified to say maybe even more than one, but I think it's at least one died making this film. So it has some pedigree. No, but it's not a bad movie. But I am kind of psyched to see this in 4K. I hope they did a good job with this. I know they're doing a bunch of them, a couple more of the Eastwoods, and I think even. I think they're doing redoing some of the 4K, some of these 4Ks. Like I think Charlie Varick, I think might be another one.
Yeah, they've announced quite a few of them. Yeah,
great. That's great.
That's another 1971 also.
No, this one's 70.
No, Play Misty.
Oh, Play Misty 71. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Next one. Oh man. I don't know if you saw this, Howard. This is going to be a fun little rant time. So Disney on November 14th is releasing a 100 film box set ranging from 1937 to 2023 on all Blu-ray discs that they've released previously. And I've got the entire list of films here. It's pretty much all of the Disney classics, all of the Pixar films. They even have things like Planes and Planes 2.
Wow.
They listed that the MSRP for this set is $1,500. $1,500 for Blu-rays that people have been buying for the last 16 years.
So there's nothing different with the Blu-rays.
Nothing at all. There's nothing special on the Blu-rays. They are releasing it with, let me see what it says, digital codes for every title. So if you want 2 copies of the film, a copy of the original theatrical poster art. Not sure how they're doing that. I guess in the book here, if you look at that, yeah, there's a tiny little picture of each one. And then a collectible lithograph from Disney Animation's new musical comedy, Wish, and then a collectible crystal Mickey ears hat with exclusive Disney 100 engraving. And with all of that, $1,500 MSRP.
Well, ever since the pandemic, you just kind of don't know how long you got anymore, especially if you have kids. So maybe it's one of those things where it's like, if just in preparation for a quick expiration date on your life, that you just go, here's your Christmas gift for the next 10 years, and you make it one-shot investment. Wish they would do that with just Franco.
Oh my God, that would have to be like $4,000.
For that, I would fork out. No, but this is this depends how much you really love all Disney,
right? Well, and the truth is, this will not come out at $1,500. When you can pre-order this, which will be sometime in the next week or two, there is it's probably going to be cheaper than that. It'll probably end up being like $700 or $800. The MSRP is $1,500, but it'll likely be somewhere between $500 and $800. But even then, all of these Blu-rays, people have most people don't have all of them, but people have been buying these Blu-rays for the last 16 years for all of these films. I'm so confused by this choice.
Yeah, I don't want to cast aspersions. I mean, it definitely sounds like a cynical sort of attempt. Oh yeah. We just had a here. Yeah, Antonio.
This was sarcasm. I'm sorry to correct you. Okay. There is something special about these Blu-rays. Okay. Most come with no extras.
Well, that's sad if they even abandoned the meager extras that they did come out with. Yeah.
Well, a lot of them had hardly anything to begin with. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, and Sibner in the comments here says it, you can find most of these secondhand for like $4 a piece. It's
bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah. We don't need to spend any more time on that. I put out an interview with Justin LaLiberty from OCN Distribution this week. I hope people check it out. It was fun. The funniest thing, we hardly talked about OCN at all. We really talked about like the state of the home video industry at the moment, what he uses Letterboxd for, and really just kind of hung out for almost an hour and a half. And it was a lot of fun. Justin is fun to talk to for sure.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. He's the one who produced the extras for Tough Guys Don't Dance, and that was the one. I think I told you I had done a thing for Tough Guys Don't Dance. MGM was just like no, but he was very square about it. He was good about it. I mean, he was very encouraging. It's cool. So I wish it made the disc, but maybe we'll have a chance to work with him at another point.
Yeah.
But he was good producer. I love this movie.
Sony Pictures. They are putting out Black Hawk Down in a 4K Steelbook on November 7th. And the big thing here is they added Dolby Vision to the 4K. They put this movie out on 4K a few years ago, and now they've made it a little bit better. The coloring will be better on this one. You say you love this movie. I love this movie. And actually, a friend of mine, he's in this movie for like 30 seconds. He was
probably on the production for like a year, probably. It's a cool movie. I used to, again, this is why I use myself as my own litmus paper. I think it was after Blade Runner, I just didn't care for Ridley Scott movies. I just decided, they weren't affecting me at all, and all I could see was that really what he is as well, although I see that in a different perspective now. I used to think that he was during certain scenes, I don't even know if he was present to direct the actors. It just looked like master shot, close up, and then get to a sequence where probably he was more hands-on, but that's me reading into it. It just looked like that, and I don't know what happened. One morning I watched Exodus, not Otto Preming's, and it legitimately blew my mind. I don't know. I can't even describe. Just suddenly clicked. So I went back and I watched everything. And this is one of the first ones I went back to, and I was just like, I don't know. I mean, he is what he is, but what he is more than what you think you're going to get. I mean, I really thought this was a cool film. Really, really cool. So a lot of great sequences and a great cast.
A few weeks ago, on one of my other shows, we did a show on Tony and Ridley Scott, and put it all together, and we talked about it for the entire time. How do you land on Tony versus Ridley? How do you feel about both of them, comparing them?
I never hooked into Tony yet. Nate did set me up. Nathaniel Thompson set me up with a whole library of Tony Scott, so I'm still waiting for time where I can sit down and just reevaluate, fresh mind. Yeah. Again, initially, and this is again why I don't like to even think like this, because it's superfluous. But now I look at it again in a different ways. I had a particularly long international flight once going to Italy, and like 3 of his films were on the palette, so I put them on. But I was having a bit of a headache, and I didn't really want to. I just wanted to have it on the background. Didn't want to listen to anything. It was like hard for me to listen to stuff. Like there was kids crying. It was really driving me crazy. A long flight, and visually, it was almost, to me, I think it was Enemy of the State. Seemed, and this is again has nothing to do with how I would watch it now or what I would feel it now, but I remember going like, this is incoherent visually. This is not. And if you watch Ridley Scott's movies, it's a very, very different. They're not the same person at all. They're two totally different things. But I can't speak about Tony because I do have to rewatch them all. I mean, like I did with Ridley Scott. I mean, I even like something like American Gangster, I remember not clicking at all with me. And, during that phase, I went back and I could understand now what everything was supposed to be before or what it was meaning. It was a great adventure to watch his stuff. So I'm, I have no idea what Tony's gonna, bring for me. I do like the Tarantino edit, which I think was a fan edit. I don't think they ever did it legit, but someone had actually took the original ending of the film, which I thought made perfect sense. Suddenly, it made sense, and I didn't, it didn't. I used to blame, who knew? I thought Tarantino had some power in there, some collaborative effort with Scott, from what I was hearing. But I now placing, well, I'm not going to say because people haven't seen it. I'm not going to ruin it for them. But the alternate, the original ending makes sense about who Christian Slater, what he represents to the main characters, so I wish that was made available. I know there's 2 versions. I've only seen, I No, I mean I saw it in the theater, but I don't remember how differences or anything. I know there's two different versions on the Blu-ray, so
Right.
they're both highly watchable. But this fan edit really gets me. Like I go, oh, that's my go-to. So I don't know if they're, they might. Hopefully, someone can encourage them if they haven't done it already to do it like what they did with Brian De Palma's Raising Cain. The fan edit was really just as important to watch as the theatrical edit. There's a lot of reasons why these things are so different. I mean, it's not always the director's choice. It's not always, we don't know the contracts, we don't know the deals, we don't know the promises that were made. No idea. But I would vote, if it hasn't been done already, someone tells me that they already did this, great. But that fan edit, which made the rounds, I definitely would highly recommend that being, maybe just not upscaled, but actually recut for, high def.
Yeah.
I'll film that 79.
Nice.
See, Raising Cain. It was great, but they're both good. Like I love, that's the whole thing. Is I really am fascinated. I'm not turned off by one or the other. There's a lot of great stuff. Another movie that I would seek that out for is King. The '76 King Kong, which I think is I always enjoyed it, and people don't realize that was never a badly reviewed movie. They tried to, just because there was that ridiculous Carlo Rambaldi extravagance, that statue that they used, and that's what can you do? But the Rick Baker effects, again, everyone wants to kind of condescend to that and say it's just like a monkey outfit. No, that's a series of incredibly amazingly put together hydraulic outfits with incredible emotional. But the script is by Lorenzo Semple Jr., who did Pretty Poison and Parallax View, and there's a lot of great continuing, satire. He would tackle an era really succinctly. So that's another one where not just they have the regular version, but the theatrical, but they also have the TV version, which was padded out for, I think, NBC with some extra stuff. There's even more stuff that wasn't put in that, and I have a composite edit, and it's beautiful. I mean, Jessica Lange, my God, her whole character's different by the end of that version. So the best thing you could do is probably watch the both versions and see what, but I'm glad, I would love to see, more of that. Yeah. But bringing back to Tony Scott, again, that's one of the things I would love to just re-experience it, as they were. I know there's two versions that exist of True Romance, but I never saw Domino, and I really didn't give much of a chance to the other ones, and it's not right. So I'm going to watch it. So still have some exposure to it. Yes, Batman and Flash Gordon, aces. I mean, he's a master satirist. Marco, thank you. He was really brilliant, and I grew up with him. Of course, with Batman and stuff. So he's one of the names that you see. When you're 5, 6, 7 years old, and if you cared, stays with you.
They stick,
and you start to trust them. When you start seeing them doing features and things like that. So, good stuff.
All right. Next one is another Sony Steelbook, The Guns of Neverone. This is from 1961. This is coming on November 7th. And again, this one is now coming with Dolby Vision. This is one that had been released previously, and now that was
one of the most beautiful high 4K Blu-rays I had ever seen. That you could just reach into. That was just like Wonka wallpaper or whatever. You want to lick it.
Yeah. My friend John DeMarsco says, Howard, I'm not super familiar with your work, but I love hearing you talk to him.
Thank you, sir.
Howard, do you like baseball?
On film?
John DeMarsco, the one that commented here, he is the broadcast director for the Mets.
Oh, go Mets.
He runs the game night every night in the truck.
Cool beans. We'll talk. Get me into a game.
You probably can.
Oh.
Next up, Prey. We had talked about this previously coming out in the US. This finally got a date in the UK. This is coming on November 27th in a steelbook and a standard release. Did you happen to catch up with this one? That was
Not at all, but I did hear it was fun. I heard some good things about it, but again, it wasn't on the queue, but I'm always willing. Let me see what the extras are here.
They are doing quite a bit. There's a making of, there's a panel with the cast and crew, alternative opening scene, Big Warrior, Little Warrior, treetop chase, and then a full audio commentary. So they didn't skimp out either, which it's Disney, so they easily could have.
Oh, wow. I wonder, is this I'm guessing it's a fairly large budgeted thing. Is it 20th century or no?
Yeah, it's a 20th century film, and it was, it went straight to Hulu, but this is basically, it should have been a theatrical film.
Yeah, you can't blame the film for that. That's for sure.
Right. Well, and it came out during COVID, so it was never really given a fair shake, unfortunately. Next announcement is Haunted Mansion from Disney from this year is getting a 4K, a Blu-ray, a Steelbook, special Walmart release that comes with an enamel pin. And these are all coming on October 17th. And this is going to have a making of that's 13 minutes long, a Happy Haunts featurette that's 7 minutes long, some deleted scenes, gag reel, and yeah. That's about it. I've not seen this yet. I'm assuming you have not either. No. A lot of people were wondering why they released this in July, I think is when they released this on streaming. But now it'll come out in October, right before Halloween. So that kind of
makes sense. Made up for it then. I hope it's spooky.
Yeah.
It looks like
I hope it is too.
It looks like Clue, like kind of being winky.
Speaking of, we need a good release of Clue. When do we get a big 4K box set of Clue?
With all the different endings and yeah. What was Seamless Branch? Do they still do that?
They do, actually, yeah. Bradley Pooper says, are we getting a Volume 4 of Columbia Classics 4K? Gosh, I hope so. Those box sets have been incredible. Let's go to our next one. Eric Romer.
This I love. God, I love every single damn thing. This is a whole new. Oh, look at that. Oh, Adrian Martin. Oh, good. Okay, no, good commentary. Looks like Adrian Martin.
Yeah, we actually have 3 Romero announcements to go over tonight. The first one is The Aviator's Wife. This is coming on November 14th from Metrograph, who is a bit of a partner label for Kino Lorber. So Kino will handle all the distribution. This will be up, on the Kino site and all that. This is the 1981 film. It'll have an audio commentary by Adrian Martin. What can you tell us about The Aviator's Wife?
I mean, honestly, Romer is one of these guys where, you could get into him just by watching it, picking anyone up. But I would, when is this coming out in October? I kind of would urge people to, if they're planning on attacking this, to start in chronological order, because he has a fantastic, growth. I mean, it usually is just a chamber pieces, a very small amount of characters and a lot of dialogue, just watching them interact and sort of grow or shrink away depending upon the relationship. And they're usually they're funny, but they're very sublime. So they're not, you can't like pigeonhole it in a genre, like it's a drama or a comedy or art. To even say it's an art film, it's not. That's kind of removing it from its own identity. Romer is someone who you start to realize how complex the filmmaking is when you start to realize this isn't a documentary. And I don't like ruining things like this, because I don't want to give a painting of it and then someone's like, oh, and they'll just ignore it because of the way I painted it. Just know that the director is very unique, and I think his whole career is wild. But what I did was, and I think I ultimately enjoyed his stuff more, is I went back before I even at the time, I think one of the first ones I saw, oh gosh, I can't remember. it was in the 70s and I was a kid, but they would show this stuff at like the local universities, and my sister would constantly be taking me to things like that at the university. And Romer, they had like about 7 or 8 of his films in a row up until the release of the new one. I just can't remember which one it was, but it was around 78 or 9, I think. And I felt a little bit more prepared. I was in the groove, and then when I saw the new one, that's when you start to put the older ones in perspective, and then maybe get a sight for what's coming. So I don't really want to ruin this particular one by, just talking about plot, because it's really not what it's about. It's really about relationships. And I love the painted cover of this, because it does represent what he's sort of about. Is there's definitely it is about spatial relationships, and it is about the tensions, or the opposite of that, the what you're not thinking about between people that are important. And I think that's a great indication of what the movie might be. Certainly not dry. He's always very surprising, and a lot of directors, like I really don't think you'd have people like Slacker, Linkletter, without directors like especially specifically directors like Eric Romer or Claude Chabrol. I definitely don't think. I think they kind of embraced the essence of that kind of structure and the character, and also sort of the way they're positioned in the drama spatially. So if you like Richard Linklater and that kind of drama, this takes it to an even deeper series of levels. So thumbs up on this one. This is great. Kino's been doing great stuff in the foreign market, like the French films and stuff like that. It's fantastic. I'm sure it'll look great too.
Yeah. And we've got a companion piece with it. We've got Boyfriends and Girlfriends in the same art style.
Great.
This one, November 28th. This one's from 87 as well.
Yeah. These are all great. But they're not plot movies. Like,
right.
You shouldn't even care. Honestly, it's like the best recommendation I can give is okay. The same covers as the Potemkin.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we got one more that we'll cover in just a few minutes, but this is just great. These films have been released a few times, but I believe this is the first time that this restoration will be in the U.S., if I remember right. And Adrian Martin is on this one as well, coming November 28th, again from Metrograph. Next up, 2 Days in the Valley from 1996 is coming from Kino on November 14th. This will have a new audio commentary by the writer-director John Hertzfeld. We got Sylvester Stallone and John Hertzfeld having a 35-minute conversation on this. They're just buds. Stallone has nothing to do with this film, I believe. There's a Q&A at Cinefamily with actors Charlize Theron, Glenn Headley, John Hertzfeld, Catherine Hardwicke, and Scott Ray, and the host Hadrian Belove. And there's a making of that's 7 minutes long, some B-roll footage, cast and crew sound bites. Quite a bit on here. This is interesting.
I have never seen this film. I haven't even seen it.
It's a hell of a cast. Hell of a cast on this one. Danny Aiello, Jeff Daniels, Terry Hatcher, James Spader, Eric Stoltz.
Definitely that it wouldn't have been made without Pulp Fiction, of course. That was the fall off of that film. But never. So I mean, it came out around the same time as the Heads in the Body Bag or whatever.
8 heads in a duffel bag. Dead
hookers in a pot or whatever. I don't know. It was a whole series of these movies, and I just never. Again. I would have usually, but I just have not seen. I had no time to see them when they were out.
Sibner says the trailer says that it out-pulped Pulp Fiction, but he doesn't know about that.
Oh, he enjoyed it, so that's good. I'll try it.
Next up, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. The brand new film is coming out on Halloween, October 31st on 4K. And of course, it will get a steelbook with this. This has a commentary. It's got some extended scenes, some behind-the-scenes stuff. There's some deleted shots, an editorial featurette. Unfortunately, The editorial featurette and the deleted scenes montage are relegated to digital only. Digital only. So if you buy this on home video, you are leaving yourself shy of a couple of their special features.
Huh?
I don't love that.
No, I don't know.
Next up, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai from 1999 is coming on 4K in the UK from Studio Canal. And this will also have this red steelbook, which is pretty nice. This one is going to... Yeah, this is a great movie. It's got some deleted scenes. It's got the Journey into the Life of a Samurai featurette on here. This will have Dolby Vision and HDR. And Jim Jarmusch, one of his bigger films from back then.
Yeah, Henry Silva. Yeah, I wouldn't. If you're a Henry Silva fan, I wouldn't hesitate. This is a fun one.
Yeah, and Criterion did put this out on Blu-ray, so I would not be surprised if they put it out on 4K eventually. Next up, Violent Night from 2022 is getting a Best Buy exclusive 4K steelbook. This is coming on November 7th, and this is another one of those times where they announced this last year, came out on Blu-ray, and now it's here on 4K just a year later, so they can take advantage of pocketbooks that loved this movie.
I did hear good things about it. I haven't seen it. Didn't this come out in the same amount of time as like Terrifier 2 and things like that? There was a lot of mush about these movies, but I did hear good things. I just haven't had time.
Same. I speaking of baseball, just a few minutes ago, we went to a Royals game since we're here in Kansas City. I think it was last year that we went, and randomly David Harbour, the star of this, was there to throw the opening pitch. We had no idea he was going to be there. It was like, oh, look at that!
Wow. Okay. Gravitas.
Yeah, it was interesting. Scarface, the 83 film, is getting a 40th anniversary 4K steelbook. Not a lot of details out on this yet because this was already 4K. I don't know if there will be anything special about it, but most people that love this movie have probably bought this already 6 or 14 times.
Mm-hmm. but this I've actually watched, hundreds of times already.
Right.
Anything De Palma is gonna get my heart pumping. So it's almost, and this is a hilarious film. It's another great satire by him, and there's so many beautiful bits and pieces in this. I would hope I would be involved in some of these extras, but he's one of these guys where like people just keep expecting, and he plays on this. They keep expecting some kind of serious examination of his topic, and he is much more interested, always was, in just provoking his audience's expectations away from where you get them. And this has a lot of great gags in it. It's a really, really sophisticated film, and without giving. I mean, I'm imagining there's people who still haven't seen it. I just kind of endorse it. It's a good one. Hilarious, quotable, endlessly quotable, but there's some really, really funny, ghoulish little bits in this movie. And it's a great flick. But, when they start talking about like it, it's a serious examination, I don't know. It's just a great satire. Another brilliant satire by De Palma.
Well, and that's De Palma for you. He's kind of had a masterpiece in almost every single genre at this point.
Every single film. It's like some people just trash his movies. I'm like, I don't know. Are you watching these? Or this is pretty brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
But
Marco says it's a very expensive exploitation movie, and I mean that as a high compliment. Well said. Next up is one that is fascinating. I'm very keen to see this. Coming in winter of this year from Oscilloscope, Gods of Mexico from 2022. And I'm going to read this one in case people have not heard of it, like I had not until this was announced. With visually stunning landscapes and immersive sound, Gods of Mexico is a poetic survey of the vast landscapes and rich diversity of several communities of rural Mexico. Using richly saturated color and hypnotic black and white interludes, filmmaker Helmut Dos Santos takes viewers through salt pans, deserts, highlands, jungle, and underground mines, paying tribute to those who fight to preserve their cultural identity amidst the shadows of modernization positions.
They got me right off the bat. That sounds outrageous. Very cool.
Have you paid attention to oscilloscope much in the past?
Yeah, occasionally, but not with an interest. I mean, it's just if they've distributed something, so I can't really pinpoint. But yeah, I have a lot of their releases. But this one sounds, again, I love being put on a track, and this sounds like it's just sort of exactly, I'm ready to go wherever they're going to take me on this one. This sounds really cool.
Just lean back and ingest. I get it.
Yeah, no, this sounds unique. So
definitely does. Hey, Film Masters, we can talk about them for a moment. January 16th, they are releasing The Devil's Partner, and they are pairing that with Creature from the Haunted Sea.
That's a hilarious movie. That's great. Creature from the Haunted Sea.
I've never seen either of these, so I can't wait for you to tell me about them.
Creature of the Haunted Sea is great.
This will have a new 4K restoration from the archival elements on The Devil's Partner. This will have the TV version of The Devil's Partner.
Wow,
the theatrical version of Creature from the Haunted Sea will also be included. And then an extended TV version of Creature from the Haunted Sea will be included. There's an audio commentary on Devil's Partner, an audio commentary for the theatrical version of Creature from the Haunted Sea, and then a booklet with essays by Tom Weaver and Jackson Cooper. Plus, Hollywood Intruders, the film group story, Part 3 by Ballyhoo Motion Pictures. There is so much on all of these Film Masters releases. You've been involved with them. Why don't you tell us about this release, and then we can talk about Film Masters for a minute.
This is the first time I'm hearing about this one, so I'm excited now. I Creature from the Haunted Sea is, again, that's I think a classic film group. I think it's film group, not AIP. Corman. It's really, really good. Yeah, they did that with Last Woman on Earth, and they're both really kind of deadpan funny and just really smart and well cast. Again, shot. I think Robert Town is. I think he's in Last. I don't know if he's in this one. I can't remember. But he's in Last. Woman on Earth. That he probably wrote a lot of it, either uncredited or whatever. Again, this has been a long time since I saw this. I can't remember who put it out. Was it Image? Put out a triple DVD with those a long time ago now. But they were, again, I saw them on TV, so you just never expected these things. They're really off the wall, and they have a great sense of humor, very deadpan. But a lot of fun. Devil's Partner, I just don't know. I never grew up with it. This is all new to me, so I'm very excited about this. Especially all the different presentations. I'll watch the whole thing. I'll watch them all.
Well, and you've done some work with Film Masters.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about what you've done?
Well, they're great. I mean, they were Film Detective, and they sort of let that go. Unfortunately, they thought they were making probably a decent move, but the company that unfortunately took it over didn't quite do what they were hoping they would do with it, and it didn't carry. So I think Phil Hopkins, who sort of is the lead, the master, the lead film master here. I think he just got really antsy and wanted to continue with the integrity that he was, it's hard to let these films that they're just orphaned, and it's hard to let them all go by the, just decompose. And, I mean, there's a certain window of time where if you can find the people who own these, if there's any elements, negative or print, they're going to go for it. And I think this is really a cool, this is an example of a cool thing. Now, again, I had done, I think it's going to be their first release, the Beast from Haunted Cave, and I had been asked to do commentary with Courtney Joyner for, who I've done a couple of commentaries with prior. We did Breezy for Kino and Skullduggery with Sergio Mims together. And I've known Courtney forever. He's a wild guy and a great resource and just incredibly talented dude. So He got me into doing that for Ski Troop Attack, which again, it's just great to know. I mean, that may have been the best that they had, the elements they had. It's I mean, that's a tough one, to find pristine elements for. But that's why sometimes their double features or second features maybe a as good as you can find, HD thing. But the lead feature will always probably be something they really kill themselves to put together, that you just can't see any other way, especially in the condition that they've gotten. They really work their asses off. And it's been a pleasure so far. And I just finished a thing for them for a video essay with Kevin Marr, my Destructible Man partner. And we just did a thing for The Terror. Which is their release, and I love The Terror, so that's going to be a cool release that's coming. I think that's their second release, and this is probably their fourth release. They're also doing the Scarlet Letter, a really hard to find version of that. But I know Sam Sherman was a big champion of that one, so I think that's how that my generation heard about it. When we were kids, and again, that used to play on TV, but not for decades. So what they're doing is, I think, a fantastic restoration job, as well as they're picking great movies that are far more entertaining than people realize. I mean, I remember, and I talked to Phil and Crystal about this, is that, I used to remember going in like the mid 90s, going to Border Books and just at the cafe and sit and talk. You meet friends in the cafe, Border Books. And, but in the video area, they had their DVD area. I guess maybe some VHS. I don't even remember. Probably some VHS. But
in the DVD, 90s, they had to.
DVD was still popping. It was starting. And Alpha Video, I remember, was a company that, it was just sort of thousands of titles of public domain titles just thrown out there. And the quality be damned. They had it. They were going to release it. And I really, what I appreciate is that some of that stuff is fascinating to get your hands on, but hard, really hard to watch sometimes because of the degradation. Used to, get depressed. Oh my God, I think I like this movie, but how can I watch this? And what I like about Film Masters is that they're really not just taking the time and the resources that they've really tried to network into some great sources. They're really trying to give it the best presentation to the moment, and on top of that, they're trusting people, really smart people like Larry Blameyer and Tom Weaver. You read, and these historians like Daniel Griffith, the Ballyhoo stuff is that's what he specializes in this. So very thorough, and you're going to get a good context, everything, good history. So I really appreciate that. When they're starting back like this, like the phoenix from the ashes, that's right, Marco. Yeah, he says Marco Freitas is Dan Holler worked on Devil's Partner, so that's another reason to sort of be interested, because Daniel Holler's a fascinating set designer and director too. So thank you. All right. So now I'm double excited now. But they, again, any company that understands that, not just, you have that aspect of it, you have the educational aspect, you also have the quality aspect is very difficult with these orphan films. But now I think what they're doing, which I think is special, is they realize that, especially post-pandemic, this is my observation, is that there's people now who really enjoy discussing unboxing, even video unboxings are incredibly popular. The sharing aspect of the discovery, of the anticipation of I really love that, and I think that they do too. And it's a shame with some things like the Turner Classic Movies had a great thing going for a while. I think on Saturday nights, at midnight, didn't they still have these oddball movies that no one cared about, but of course they were great, and and then they had the Movie Morlocks page on their blog, and that was when they would have people of very different tastes and upbringing and styles of observation, and they would write about the stuff, and then they would start a dialogue with the viewers, with the fans. And I think TCM Underground, thank you. And I really love that's what they're into. They want people to just discuss and get it, like we're doing now. We're getting a lot of feedback here, and it's almost a shame they're not all on here with us. And
and it's clear they love it. I mean, look at how much stuff I read out for this disc. First off, it's 2 films, and you're going to get context for both. For many other companies, they would just put 2 films on a disc and say, well, you got a double feature. That's a lot. Good luck. And then Film Masters, they go above and beyond because they hide Easter eggs on every single one of their discs as well. So everything listed here is not even it. You can go press all of your directional buttons on your remote, and you'll find something else from them as well.
Yeah. When is this release? When is this one?
This is January. This is this is actually their 5th release. Yeah, Scarlet Letter will be the 3rd. That's in November. They have one in December, and then this is January 16th.
Cool. Very cool.
And I believe they're planning on staying at 1 a month. So,
I'm sure at some point that will change. I'm positive. They're. It's like Rolling Stone. It does gather moss. They'll do it. I'm sure they'll do it. They have just a really good vision and an open mind. They're not just jamming down one specific thing, but they are
right.
They are giving you a good taste of certain aspects of film history. Like I do like this whole film group attention that they're giving, because people just think Roger Corman, did AIP and that was it. And there's the backstory to that is just epic, and he's also kind of a tricky director to begin with. He's really smart, not just business wise. I mean, he is an intellectual and an instinctive filmmaker, which are 2 cool things to combine when you are also an expert, producer, and you have just impeccable taste. But you know the audience that you're making a film for, and you also know the audience that you are to your own work. And I think even when he works subconsciously on stuff, it's always much smarter. Like working off The Terror, we were shocked that this movie's made by, including him, 7 directors.
Wow.
And here he is getting, more immaculate films done in like 2 days of shooting. And, this is the era that he's doing it in, and he's doing, a couple of weeks, he really got a great movie, not some fluff. I mean, there's certain elements of the era, but has nothing to do with quality.
Right.
That's just, what you work with what you have, and, that was fine. But he's also a brilliant guy who, in The Terror, we just started seeing that, these guys are going rogue, 6 other directors going off and shooting stuff, and then they're going to come back and he's going to have to make sense out of this stuff. And these are all very ambitious guys, running and filming. And I mean, I think like Dennis Jacob, who did a lot, work on the Apocalypse Now and stuff. He's a San Francisco dude. He went off and I think he went and shot stuff, and I think Corman saw the footage and he's like, what the hell is this? This isn't, costumes has nothing to do with the movie. And he realized that he just went off and shot like another movie with the stock or using the equipment. He didn't have to pay. So, but these guys went off and just did, Monty Hellman, and they all were ordered, Coppola. They all went off at various places in California to shoot various scenes, and then they kind of tied it together. And for years, again, it was the most condescended to movie. I mean, he was really condescended to, because, they try to make it sound like he was some kind of a skinflint, a master at making, exploitation and skin. And no, I mean, there's a lot of meat to his stuff, which is very interconnected, and if you watch The Terror carefully, there's a lot of interconnection with a lot of the other movies, mainly because he wanted to reuse a lot of the production value from the other films. It still was there, and they were going to be, everything was going to be destroyed. Sets for The Terror were going to be completely knocked down after that film. So he went to England after that for a couple of films. And he So the terror really makes sense. It's insane. I mean, the storyline's insane. And your brain, will boil before you sit there and you go, it makes clear sense. But it absolutely follows a plot that is just insane. And we try and go through that to make it clear for people what's going on. Right. But at the same time, there's dummy deaths in this thing. So it's convoluted thematically and visually, and you just start that trickle effect. And to me, you got magic, and the terror was pretty nice. And I really applaud, those guys, Crystal and Phil at Filmmasters for being, really indulgent and patient, and they've just been great. So hopefully people will enjoy it. Something like this, you can only present your case and then hope that people understand your explanation of it. But it's also, a lot of people aren't ready to buy the fact that Corman actually was an intellectual. He was the first guy, once he got New World Pictures, he was the guy who bought Ingmar Bergman's Cries and Whispers and put it in drive-in theaters as an art film. And, people forget he is an intellectual. He's a smart dude. And his movies, no matter how fakaked or, teen-oriented they would be for the eras, there's always some amazing thing about it. So can't get my highest endorsement. And I really applaud Filmmasters for really starting off and caring about Corman alongside these other productions. It's really, I just think it's something to look forward to for sure.
Next up, Orbit DVD is having a 20th anniversary sale. This starts tomorrow at noon Eastern. You can get 35% off of Unearthed Films, Radiance Films, Arrow Video, Severn Films, and 88 Films. Just a few things on this. They say you cannot combine the sale items with the pre-order, but you can buy other movies on the site that are in stock. You can also use the 3 free code for free shipping. And to avoid chaos, you cannot go back to edit or cancel your orders yourself. This will be online only, but if you are local, you can order it for pickup. And these are going to be drop shipped daily, so they expect it won't be fulfilled as fast as normally. It's going to be a busy sale for them, guaranteed. This is their first time that they've gone into having a sale like this, so have a little bit of patience with them. This is going to be pretty damn big for them, I'm betting. So good luck to everybody that wants in on it.
Good.
Next up is the other Romare, Four Adventures of Raynette and Mirabelle.
Another later one. This is great.
Yeah, 87.
Yeah.
Next up. Oh, I guess I didn't say a date for that one, did I? That's November 21st from Metrograph.
Okay,
so
that's not far off. That's good.
All coming in November.
Highly recommend. I can't recommend these enough.
Nice.
But don't read about them. It's pointless. Just experience. Seriously, they're not plot movies. They're emotion movie. They're fun. Some of them are very fun.
Another Kino Lorber partner, Cohen Media. They are putting out the Buster Keaton Collection Volume 5. That is coming on November 7th. This will have 3 Ages and Our Hospitality.
You will be sore from laughing, exhausted, and so on. I remember I was very lucky to see a Buster Keaton festival, I think at the Gotham Theater, could be wrong, decades ago in New York City. And I went to everything, and my ribs were raw and I couldn't speak. Same thing, around the same time, New York was going through a great thing. They had the Keaton thing going on, like it seemed unceasing. And they also had a Laurel and Hardy thing where I went in for one day and it was like a 9-hour exhibition of all these shorts that I really either didn't remember or I haven't seen. And I couldn't talk. I was raw. I was done. Absolutely done. This is the same thing. So if you want to take a chance, if you have no stigma at silent films or whatever, believe me, you're not even going to know they're silent films, because there's nothing creaky, there's nothing unimaginative. It's 100% new language that he's doing. He came up with as much as Hitchcock did, and Griffith and all these people. He was really pioneering. And especially these 2 movies, I can't wait. it's probably going to look gorgeous. I mean, they never really looked so terrible from my memory, at least in the last couple of decades. But Cohen does some great stuff, so I'm excited about this. Hilarious, brutal.
Yeah, I can't wait. And all of their releases of the Keaton stuff has been great so far.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Kino Lorber is releasing Scrapper from this year on November 7th. This will have an audio commentary by the director, Charlotte Reagan, a making-of featurette, and the trailer. I'd heard just a little bit about this one because it did pretty well at Sundance. And yeah, I've heard it's a decent one.
Oh, I never heard of it, but it's good to be exposed.
Next up, WandaVision and Loki got announcements in the UK. These were announced for the US prior. WandaVision doesn't have a date listed yet, but Loki will be releasing on November 27th, and Mandalorian will also be releasing over there as well. And then this one. I'm curious if you have any deep feelings for Kevin Smith. They announced that on November 7th, Lionsgate is releasing a Clerks 3 film premium collection. And this looks to be a long box type of thing that you will put on your shelf to display. It's got a VHS slot for you to store the box set of the films. It's got a sticker sheet for you to put on the back of the box and sort of graffiti. There is so much love that is being put on the front of this that this looks like a lot of fun. How do you feel about Kevin Smith and the Clerks franchise?
Again, never really clicked with me. I think Clerks, the first one, I think definitely, I think sort of had some, it resonated a little bit because I could relate to a lot of things. I actually had just done, altogether, it's pretty much a feature, but I just sort of like what Daniel Griffith is doing with the film group thing. I was asked for Umbrella in Australia. I was asked to do one per title. It's funny. One per title of the Nicholas Refn Pusher series.
Yeah,
and I think I went back and I watched Clerks because of that. There's the Bleeder, another film that Refn did that I think there's a lot of obvious, interconnectivity, of inspiration from it and stuff. So I had to watch them again, and I enjoyed Clerks much more than I remembered when I saw it. But again, this is it's all fresh to me now because I'm happy about that. I want to see it with fresh eyes. So this is good. I'm not gonna spring for this, but I do like that storefront. But I will. There's a time where it's going to come where I do have to watch them all. Yeah. I like him as a stand-up too. I mean, that's what I really liked him as. I just like watching him sit and talk for 2.5 hours.
He's a damn good storyteller.
Yeah, as a raconteur, I like that. So I like that. Oh no, I liked what was the Red State.
I love Red State.
I like
it
Red
is my
State.
favorite.
Michael Parks is awesome. That was a good stretch for him. I thought I was really that was what I never saw Tusk, or if I did, I wasn't in a coherent state. But Red State, I did. I enjoyed. So I'm looking forward to a more thorough revisit. And we'll probably do same thing, chronological. Might make more sense to me.
A lot of people seem to hate the third one. I actually really enjoyed the third one.
I'm saying, why listen to it at all? Why care? Why care? Just like, it's coming out, go watch it. You know what I mean? It's see what it does. It makes you put it on a queue so that you're not gonna, I heard it wasn't so good, so I'm gonna wait on that one. Why? What? Don't let them do it to you, man.
All right.
They're not looking out for you.
The Carpetbaggers from 1964 is coming out.
Edward Dmytryk, God bless him.
This will have 2 new audio commentaries. One by film historian and writer Julie Kurgo, and one by David Delval.
Kurgo, I'd fall off a cliff for. She's brilliant. I loved her Twilight Time stuff, and I love when she ran that, and I love all her commentaries. She's got the heart for it, so I'm really excited to see that. I love her, and her dad was damn talented screenwriter. Great. So David Delval, great, cool beans. No, Dmytryk, anything. Flat out, don't listen to anybody, any critic. I just can't stand it. He made some personal choices in life with the HUAC thing. Kind of, I don't know. Everyone was trying to survive, I guess. The way it was all a big mistake. But as a director, though, I love it. Oh, thank you, Stan. God bless you. Give you my phone number. Stuck forever. Thank you. No, I really appreciate that. My God, I'm not my parents have been dead for a long time. They never lit. They would love hearing you guys tell me that I'm worth something. 100% Carpetbaggers. You can't go deep enough. I'm jealous. I'm not on this disc. This is brilliant. When is this coming out?
November 28th.
Great. Yeah. Carpetbaggers, and Henry Hathaway did sort of, I don't think it's the entire novel. It was a part of the novel, which is also really cool and tawdry, but brilliantly written, was Nevada Smith. And I know that they put out a beautiful version of that with my bud Courtney Joyner doing commentary on that one. And that's another one I really am hoping somebody like Imprint will put that out too, so I can force myself into that production. I may just have to do stuff on my own about that and put it on our website, because Nevada Smith and Carpetbaggers are, you just don't, they're real pure cinema from a mainstream movie. And they imprinted that. Oh
yeah, Cat Ellinger's on the commentary for theirs.
I'll have to seek that out because I love cat stuff too. That's where I'll double dip. The movie, yeah, of course. But when I start seeing Cat Ellinger or whatever, I got the hooks are there for me. I mean, I love her perspectives on almost everything. This is a great movie. Anything Edward Dmytryk. I mean, he could, if it's 3 hours of him crapping on the sidewalk, it's probably something beyond my comprehension. So I'll dive in. He's great.
Love that.
Yeah, this is a really perverse movie. So don't think you're just going to see it and it's going to be like, oh, it was a dull movie. Nothing. It's all of these movies are out of left field. They're pure. If you really want to start off, if you want to work your way up to the Carpetbaggers, which is a great way to do it, start with The Devil Commands from the 40s with Boris Karloff that he did. That is a deranged, it's Halloween's coming. That is one creepy ass movie. And that actually gave me nightmares after I'd seen it. I hadn't seen it since I was a little kid. And watching it as an adult, I realized probably why I hadn't watched it since a little kid. It is brilliant. I mean, and all his films are, even the war propaganda stuff that he did. His film noirs, he basically created the cliches in film noir, or at least focused them, together to finally develop what people would say is like the, Murder My Sweet. They're shocking how stylized and how brilliant they are. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to skip over the Carpetbaggers like, oh, it's just a catalog title. It's not. It's really, really amazing. And you got some, great people to guide you through it on that disc. So good. This is really exciting for me. I'm glad.
Good. Next up, friends in Germany, Wicked Vision are releasing Rawhead Rex on 4K in, I think we're at 7 different cover options, 7 or 8, something crazy like that. And these are going to be available to pre-order in like a handful of hours. So if you're really wanting these, 12 p.m. Germany time, wickedshop.com. This looks pretty astonishing. This is the first time.
They're great. I love them. So yeah, they're great. And this is a fun movie. This is another one from the 80s that, like, VHS, it was like scrimshot on your brain, and that came out. It was just, that was what you rented. That was there. Sounded cool. Clive Barker or whatever they want to throw at it. They found some kind of way to label it. Yeah. It's a fun movie, really fun, but they're great. Good company.
And these covers look wild for this.
They get it. They get it. They're a joy. I really, they're another company I would love to meet. They were here doing a lot of interviews and stuff recently. I think the day that I went in to do the commentary track, of Ski Troop Attack, I think they were coming in at some point to do other work, so they got a lot of stuff coming down the pike. That but they're exciting to me. They're smart guys. I love their releases.
They are friends of the channel, so I can actually get you in contact with them.
Fantastic.
Laurent from Wicked Vision has been amazing. I can't wait for that Vincent Price documentary they're doing.
Ooh. Good stuff.
What's
very
next?
Important.
Hey, that's you.
And my baby, that's Osa. That's my girl.
That's Osa.
That's my girl. And she's been so good. You haven't heard her today. She sometimes makes little appearances on my commentaries.
Well, I think we're down to our last announcement. That is October 9th in the UK. Studio Canal is releasing Cry the Beloved Country. This is going on their Vintage Classics line, and this is with Canada Lee, Sidney Poitier. This is going to have a new 4K restoration of the film, new Canada Lee, an interview with Mona Z. Smith, an interview with Lionel Nagakane, I think is how you say it, from 1990. In Darkest Hollywood, African mirror footage of the world premiere, Africa, Alan Patton from 1962, behind-the-scenes gallery. Anything on this one that you want to share? Have you seen this one?
A long time ago. Yeah, probably when it came out. I remember enjoying it. I don't remember it being, at least when I saw it. I mean, it might have a lot deeper. It was a very straightforward film, but great. It was a good adaptation of the book. It was, it was pretty good. There's nothing that I remember, but that's probably a great reason to watch it again.
Yeah.
Because I'll watch it now. I'll go, oh my God, I would never, but I remember thinking it was a good night out.
Well, after we go through all of the announcements, we normally talk about what's coming out next week, just in case people forgot. So let's go through those real quick. I normally breeze through these. A lot of 4K announcements. We got The Exorcist 4K coming next week in the Steelbook and Standard, The Trial 4K from Criterion, The Last Dragon 4K Steelbook, The Lost City of Z 4K from Shout Factory, The Ring 4K from Arrow, The Black Phone 4K, Past Lives from A24. Have you gotten to see that one yet? That's a this year release.
Nope. Not yet.
That is a beautiful movie. If you get a chance, check that one out.
Oh, I saw. You jogged my memory. I saw the Wes Anderson movie. What was it called though? Whatever the new one was.
It starts with an R, I think.
It was great though, so this is where my head's at. It's been steamrolled, but yeah, I love that, and I'm one of those guys. I love him more and more each film. That goes along. So, but when I literally saw it. I think I had.
Does not start with an R. It's Asteroid City.
Asteroid City was really brilliant, but it's also, if you want to understand Wes Anderson, that's the one. I mean, everyone's like, it's my least favorite. I don't know why, because it's this most confessional and emotional. That's a great movie, and it's hilarious, but beautifully done. And no, I would never. Especially once after he did the dummy death in Grand Budapest Hotel, he had me doubly sure. He spoke my language easily. No. Okay, sorry, that was a diversion. But yes, you're fine. I remembered. I saw another movie there.
That's
in a
good.
Theater. The first one since the pandemic.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, no. I haven't seen anything in a theater since, and it was great. The last movie I saw when the pandemic first started, like when the boat was, infecting people around Los Angeles. I went to go see at the New Beverly, Quentin Tarantino's theater. It was like an untouched print of Blake Edwards' The Great Race, which has always been like one of my very, very favorite movies. And it was a perfect print. And that was the last movie I saw. And I knew people who were coming down with probably they had COVID. They didn't know back then, but during that, and I didn't stay near anybody during that screening. There a lot of sniffling and a lot of like, ugh. But that was the last one until I saw the Wes Anderson thing.
Interesting. Next week, we're also getting Fall 4K Steelbook. This is going to be the unrated version that wasn't out in theaters. Cocaine Bear 4K, the new live-action Little Mermaid 4K, Lost Souls. This is the Aerosite exclusive of Ringu 4K. The next Fun City Editions release, Fatal Femmes, the double feature, is coming out next week. And somehow, not a lot of people have been talking about Fun City anymore now that they're not an OCN partner label. They deserve it. They were catching up with the releases for a while, but they still deserve a whole lot of attention.
Well, fill me in on this. I don't know what happened.
They were a partner label with Vinegar Syndrome for multiple years, and they just decided the best thing for them was to depart. And now they're associated with MVD. And if from what I hear, MVD requires all of their assets for discs to be handed in like 5 months ahead of time. And so from leaving OCN to go to MVD, there was just a slight lag. And so they were quiet for a couple of months. And now that there's everything here, people just are kind of quiet about Fun City, and they still deserve so much love.
Weird. They're great. I loved Smile, and I loved what the other one? The Frank Perry one, Rancho Deluxe. I think they did some great stuff. And Jeremy, they have a great, they have a perfect feel. It's weird. Like it's like Vinegar Syndrome. It's like they'll make a decision. They'll get a title. They'll hook on it, and then they'll whatever degree they can provide extras for, it always seems to be fine. It has the feel of the original experience of seeing the movie, and that's rare. They really, to me, they have a great. They get a great snapshot of like the feel of the release, the impact. They can bring that back again. In the way they package everything. It's great. They're good. I like them so far, but I didn't know that they made a switch, so I'm curious. I'm glad they're back.
Yeah, they're doing great stuff. Early short films of the French New Wave is coming out next week.
It's going to be good. Like drooling.
A lot of big names on there. The Dead Mother from Radiance Films, that comes out next week.
Great. I love gotta give any attention to any Radiance release to me.
Yes.
I don't care if I've never heard of it before, but I have. This is a great one. They're eclectic as hell. There's no way you can anticipate what they're going to do next, but you can know that whatever is going to be there, they're gonna make it a perfectly contextual experience. They're wonderful. I did a piece on the Cosa Nostra, Damiano Damiani set, and I've just been asked to do another commentary for them. I never did commentary for them before, but we did me and David Nicholson Fajardo, we did a video essay for them for Day of the Owl, which is like one of my favorite Damiani films. And they did an amazing job with that. And Francesco Simeone, he was ex-Arrow.
Yep.
And he started, but what a vision, again, class act all the way. But they asked us to do the Lee J. Cobb in Italy. And that was just a lot of a really moving experience, because Lee J. Cobb also made some bad decisions about the HUAC thing. It's fascinating to hear their stories, but he was always heartbreaking to me anyway. I mean, his performances, for the most part, when I was growing up, were kind of traumatic characters, sad, ill-fated characters. And I love, and just seeing him in The Exorcist is just really wonderful, too, very warm. So he was a favorite in my house. So I was really just, again, really pleased with doing stuff for them. They're really wonderful. Everything, literally, I can just say, I don't care what it is. If there's something by Radiance, it's going to be an eye-opener.
Brand is amazing.
Some great stuff.
Bad City coming from Wilgo next week, and not much else other than some standard releases.
Sunday Woman, that's another Radiance. I think that's great. Sunday Woman's fantastic. It's Comencini, Luigi Comencini, fantastic movie. And Jacqueline Bisset, my heart. She just turned 79, and wow, she's great. I love her.
One thing I did want to say, and I keep forgetting to bring up, the Legend of Boggy Creek 4K that was announced, that will finally be shipping this week after a 2-week production delay, and I can't wait to get that. Supposedly Orbit is going to be getting it too.
That's going to be, probably one of the very first Cinetrauma experiences we'll talk about. Have you seen it ever?
I saw it a long time ago, but have you seen any of the pictures they posted of the change in the restoration?
No.
It looks to be like a brand new movie. It is probably going to be an all new experience.
I love Charles Pierce. Charles B. Pierce, he was Clint Eastwood's. He was a great production designer, and he did. Oh my God, the Outlaw Josie Wales. So that was his real gig, and then he would go off and do these side gigs. But some of the films he made, he was really one of the most important regional filmmakers as far as I'm concerned, because he brought that to my attention. When I was in second grade, that's when they really pumped out commercials nonstop on Saturday morning during cartoons of Legend of Boggy Creek rated G. And that got us into the theater. The parents didn't think twice. They dropped you off. That was back when 7-year-olds didn't need accompaniment for some reason. In suburbia. Great. Horrifying. That movie. And on top of that, when it wasn't scaring the living shit out of you, it was sad. They have a song about the fog monster, and you want to cry. He's lonely and he's sad. And, oh my God, it's a million different ways. But there's a lot to unpack on that one. That's a classic. And don't forget, this is the guy who eventually did Town That Dreaded Sundown. So the way he kind of marks regional history of that area, he was a lot more fun. The Evictors, he's a director. So I would even say, just, hoping that, like what you're saying is true, that it's going to be a really advanced transfer. I'm blind by. If you never saw the movie, get all your kids together. Get your coffee ready, because you're going to be up very late at night with your children. Great movie. And we, of course, went, later on, I had to go home, and we had a den, which was all windows on 3 sides, was all window. And in the summertime, which was when I remember seeing this one, it was either in a re-release or first release. I don't remember when, but we saw it multiple times. I didn't want to watch. I didn't want to be in that room at night when we came home, because it was so vulnerable. It was terrifying. So that it's worth it. That's a great movie. It's a great movie. Really beautifully done. And it's only looking more and more beautiful. I don't think it definitely looked like that in the theater. So good for Pamela. It's his daughter. She's a good ambassador for her dad.
Well, and they're keeping it mostly in house. She's done a whole lot all by herself to get it out. So I'm very, very stoked on it.
Yep. Good luck. It's gonna be good.
Many years in the making, with only crappy bootlegs available previously, which is the only way I've ever seen it. Super excited to get my copy, says dude.
Do you have the 4x3 copy that was cropped to widescreen out of desperation to sort of relive the experience of these guys? That's one that we had to deal with.
Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.